My bored wife finally called her ex-boyfriend to come F her. I exposed her in this way by setting up recorders. I have been a lurker for almost 6 months on this topic, however I am at a loss for words and could need some advice. Please let me know what you think. Sigh. 6 months ago, my wife of 31 years suddenly quit having any, and now I'm at a loss as to what to do. We have 2 sons, a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. This is important information. Additionally, we are now constructing a house. I started a discussion with my wife because I don't like to sit back and let things happen. Instead, I want to do something about problems as soon as they arise. The goal was to determine what transpired. At first, she was reluctant to speak. There was a tough barrier to overcome. But eventually, she broke down and told me why she had stopped embracing, kissing, chatting to me, and enjoying the sensation of my hand on her body. The most important thing I've learned is that she needs more than just me. There's no one she can rely on except herself. She even wears the pants around the home. The choice is made by her. The children are under her care. She assured me that I would do better on my own. My introversion is more of a mild kind than a severe one, etc. I assured her I understood her suffering and that I would change my ways so that she wouldn't have to worry about it, even if it was frightening to hear. Because my love for her is so great, I would rather agree than argue. But I am not a robot. Sometimes my own ideas keep me up at night. I was led to this group by a huge red sign. Her accusations are completely unfounded. I think I meet the criteria for a decent spouse, but that is just my perspective. After taking care of my youngsters, I work from home for around 8 or 9 hours. I do everything from feeding them to putting them to sleep to playing with them and even taking the elder one swimming. Like them, I'll get up in the wee hours if they really need me to. With the exception of my children, I take care of the housework, including cooking, grocery shopping, and light cleaning. Since I'm not very good at cleaning, she usually does it instead. Things with the new house, the car, etc., are under my purview. I know it's tough with 2 tiny boys, so I try to do everything I can to make her life easier. Unfortunately, I'm not someone who takes the initiative. Some folks can't even sit for 5 minutes on the couch before they start planning their next move. Where to begin? What problems need resolving? What errands need finishing? Where to begin? The same is true of her father. In fact, I am not. After a long day at work, taking care of the kids, and cleaning the house, my favorite way to unwind is to watch a movie or play video games. Also, I'm not the type of guy who could launch a company from scratch. I'm an expert in my profession. I take direction effectively and operate efficiently when given specific instructions. Yes, I am not embarrassed by the fact that I am one of many individuals like that. I don't aim for greatness in my work, and I have no desire to amass a fortune. I'm content to be an average Joe. Word on the street is that he's a handsome man with big dreams of starting a nice family and making excellent money. After 5 years of a happy marriage and 4 years of a happy relationship with me, I recognized she began to struggle with it. The conversation took place in December. After that, I made an effort to go against my personality by being more proactive and getting more done, such as going grocery shopping, fixing more things around the house, and generally not vegging out in the evenings or getting any sleep. Despite her approval, her attitude toward me remained unchanged, forcing me to start the second conversation. In the beginning, I asked her whether she wanted to salvage the marriage because of the way she treats me. My God, she said. It was a tough pill to take, but I had to ask, would you like to attend marriage counseling? My God, she said. I proceeded to inform her that it is crucial to know if our children would soon have parents who live apart. She was convinced after listening to that. She was uninterested in my seeking out therapy, so I had to do it on my own. While we were talking, she told me hurtful things like, I married you only to impress my parents and married sisters so that we can be a big happy family and have beautiful children. She also said, I was enchanted, not in love, implying that she had married me for reasons other than love. I also found out that she met with a fellow priest to talk about our marriage. In any case, I've finally found a great therapist, and we're almost at the 3rd appointment. Our love languages are distinct from one another, we discover. For both of us, physical contact is essential. But ever since we started counseling, she has avoided physical contact with me, even embraces. After the first 2 meetings, I wanted to know how she felt about it, and all she could say was that she's uneasy about having to tell a strange woman all about our family. Upon learning that we will not be sharing a bedroom for the next 6 months, the therapist seemed taken aback. The reason, according to my wife, is that there is no room for me on the bed where she sleeps with the kids. According to the therapist, setting a terrible example by not letting a spouse sleep in the bedroom is a major problem. If the bed is too small, she suggests going to IKEA and purchasing a single bed to place next to the larger one. I went ahead and did it. I purchased it, assembled it, and am currently sleeping on it. I still feel very much alone while I sleep, which is rather amusing. You can see her off to the left, the boys in the center, and me out to the right. My wife has amended her testimony several times since the matter began. She began to express her depression as a result of spending so much time at home with the kids. Despite the fact that I would never utter such a thing to her, I suppose I had to trust her when she stated she was too upset to control her words. We hired a nanny and she has only just returned to work. The fact that we began to converse is the sole reason her conduct has changed. However, there is no insight since I am both her friend and spouse. There is absolutely no indication that things are going to improve. I constantly having to schedule the future MC sessions around the S since she doesn't care about them. She said she's been doing it only for my sake and that she has absolutely no use for it. In that moment, I felt like a villain. Even though we might have done it more frequently, she was never very enthusiastic about making love. Our weekly sessions were satisfactory. S visited us twice this year, and each time it was for the purpose of pity and duty lovemaking. The first one was around the start of January. I feel like I need a birthday in order to be laid. And the second one was after counseling. She was just lying on her back, covering her breast, and waiting for me to finish. But that was after we started. Because of that, I no longer desire it. That is not its essence. She just responds, "That's who I am. If you don't like it, leave me." Whenever I bring up the subject, she abruptly ends the conversation. I kindly want your guidance. First update. It happened once when my wife made 4 consecutive attempts to contact her ex-boyfriend around 10 o'clock in the evening. She did not really speak to him, but she did try to reach him. Our 2 phone numbers were kept in an app, so I could monitor incoming and outgoing calls for each of them. So, I know that. I lost it after that. My wife called her ex-boyfriend 4 times at 10 o'clock in the evening. Why is that? She had a message on her laptop, so I decided to check it. We are married, have children, and she is acting strange, so I felt justified in feeling bad. I will continue calling till you answer and communicate with me like a normal person, even though she left him a message after we called 4 times. I proved her lying by showing her the app and her outgoing calls after she denied it. Admitting that she did attempt to contact him was her only option. When I questioned her about it, she said she was just phoning back. I inquired as to whether she sent any further correspondence to him after our talk because I knew she had written to him as well. Here we can see that she declined. I then showed her the note she had written to him. She went on to say that he had gotten drunk and called her, at which point he began to utter nonsense. She abruptly ended the call and ordered him to FCK off upon hearing that. Later on, she regretted it and attempted to contact him 4 times, but he never answered. At last, she put her thoughts on paper. Nobody heard from him. It has left me bewildered. It was about the time she broke up with me. According to her, it's not strange or wrong that she didn't tell me. She doesn't think it's significant. One red flag is getting in touch with a former partner. Is she unfaithful? I find that intolerable. The calls began 6 months ago, when there was no in situ interaction between us. Please accept my second update and my gratitude for your kind comments. I was taken aback by the number of people who said she was cheating on me. It seemed like something out of a science fiction movie at first. Things my wife would never knowingly do. But now, It became a reality. And everything changed. Being so similar to that makes me feel foolish. I suppose this is just the way life is. I know I said I'd contact her ex and her family, but I've chosen to stand back and keep my cool. It was so simple, isn't it? I merely put a voice-activated recorder in our vehicle. Without even a global positioning system. It stayed for just 3 days. After getting some work done in the car, she too. The gym and either phoned him twice or he called her twice. I listened to every speech, but I have no idea who phoned whom. It was a phone-based video chat. Everything I need has been heard. Details about us. Details about our lives as individuals. They spoke the same way that my wife and I did when we first met 9 years ago. Similar chemistry, humor, etc. I haven't had this with her in a long time. As far as vacation plans go, she has her heart set on seeing him in July. Holy cow. She granted him 2 years to return to our nation. This is totally unbelievable to me. This is the result of my listening to the entire recording, which lasted 1 hour. Next week, I have an appointment with an attorney, and there are a few things I need to take care of. I just wanted to express my gratitude. I would never have purchased the fucking voice recording gadget had you not shown me the light. Putting it in the car made me feel guilty. Oh my. Updates will be provided. I really should take it easy for a while. Remain preoccupied with my children and her actions. This past September, they began. I didn't see a difference in her conduct for 2 months. For the full week of next week, I will be in another city taking care of my elderly father. Because of this, she will miss a week of work. She has decided to utilize my home office instead. That she will most likely meet with him in his workplace is another consequence of this. I believe I have plenty on hand. Would you like me to keep the recorder at the office for the following week? Third update. I was absent for quite some time since it began in September of last year. Currently, she is unwilling to spend even a single second with me in the vicinity of our rented residence. She visits her parents, aunt, friends, and so on, and is always busy. When we put our 1- and 3-year-old children to bed, she even goes to sleep or simply lies in the bed. You can hear it all on the recording. They spend a lot of time talking about his trash, but she also says she loves him and wants to see him and have fun with him. She also wants to take him on vacation. He was also informed that she will soon leave me and become his wife. Yes, it's all there. She was even describing his preferred position for making love. This is important. She has no idea that I know. No one in her inner circle knows. They only perceive this situation as transitory. On Sundays, she attends Mass with her 3 sisters, all of whom are Catholic. There are 20,000 of us in this little town. A house that we constructed not long ago is still unfinished. It seems to me that she will be requesting a divorce shortly. I can see she is suffering with me in the apartment and she can't handle it anymore. It is evident from her nonverbal cues and complete silence. So that there will be a period when I'm not around. She wants me to go soon. Within 2 years, she plans to relocate to the tiny town and live with us and my 2 young boys. She offers him 2 years to return to our nation, as she says in the audio. Nobody will be critical since they know she needs a dad for her children. She was married to the AP 7 years ago, but he was her first boyfriend. Together for 9 years. AP resides overseas but makes regular trips to our nation. That kind of behavior is unacceptable to me. My attorney is here, and we'll be meeting soon to discuss this. Sharing excerpts from the recording with anyone will essentially ruin her reputation. What am I to do when she serves me papers? I would really appreciate any guidance you can provide me. My lawyer has informed me that I need 1 month to prepare my documents. It never occurred to me that I would have to cope with such a monstrosity. During my meeting with the attorney, I gained some important knowledge. Update 4. Going to set fire to her entire world wasn't a good idea, it turned out. For the next 15 to 16 years, we will be co-parents of our children. I also don't want her family members to be witnesses in the divorce since I respect them very much. The children are too little to be left with their mother in the little village an hour away from the big city, so I would also pass on winning them. No matter what, I would be there every other weekend. Dad. Lastly, the children require a safe and stable home environment and will be unable to find other housing if we were to sell our property without their consent. The current residence they are occupying is a short-term rental house owned by her dad. This is the truth in Poland, Europe, and it sounds terrible. Following our discussion, the lawyer forwarded her legal documents. They were supposed to be sent to Poland immediately following Easter. This establishment is open for business on Sunday and Monday. While drunk, I pretended everything was okay at the table. On Tuesday, I was at home with my 1-year-old kid as I was off work. An hour distant was the capital city, where she had to go for work. At the same time, my brother assisted me in loading up his car with all of my belongings from the flat. So that we could split up like civilized people and separate peacefully, the postman sent us the divorce papers, which were really an invitation to mediation. According to the article, her friendship with this man is the driving force for the impending divorce. When it comes time to determine child support, etc., the proof I possess will be a powerful tool. Upon her arrival at my residence, I informed her that I am well informed, that I possess indisputable evidence, that it has profoundly hurt me, and that she should consult with my attorney. I then proceeded to visit her parents after handing her the divorce paperwork. She naturally began to question my knowledge and the means by which I acquired it, while simultaneously denying any knowledge whatsoever. I filmed everything as my attorney had instructed me to, and her parents were shocked but believed me. It all started when I wanted to know whether they believe I'm a decent, loving parent and spouse. She can no longer call them as witnesses in her case against me because they gave their approval. She ruined our lives. Theirs, mine, and our children's. And they believed me when I stated that she had done something terrible. I traveled to the nation's capital after thanking them for their understanding. Meanwhile, I contacted a friend, and he informed her pals about it. After waiting 2 hours, my brother-in-law phoned to tell me that she had confessed to having an affair with the AP, but she had refrained from admitting to having an actual sexual encounter with him. He told me that everyone is rooting for me since she ruined our family. He informed me that her sister had just visited my soon-to-be ex-wife and had told her how wicked she is. However, he assured me that there is hope for a reconciliation, that he, too, had cheated on his wife, and that she had forgiven him, and that they are now very happy. She then revealed to her father over the phone that she is totally to blame and has no idea what she has done. In addition to promising not to let the AP into his residence, he also said he would no longer provide financial support to his soon-to-be ex-wife. He went so far as to phone the AP, but nobody answered. He did say that he thinks it's salvageable in the end. As a last note, her other sister texted me to reassure me of her support and reiterate her belief that things can be salvaged. The fact that I am so sure it can't be salvaged makes me dislike it immensely. That I don't have a lovemaking film of them and that my reasons for leaving her aren't good enough is something I'm worried about. Make sure you're not going to die in the 3 seconds before I see you in Holland. I have audio recordings of her stating that. It makes me question if the shit your dad makes is identical to what you make. Well, guess. What? Let's meet up with that woman. We may inquire about the duration of your brother's stuff, and I'll let her know how long it is for you. Bye, my dear. I've decided to end my marriage. Submit a video of yourself if you could. You prefer to stand in a slouched stance with your back straight. Here I am demonstrating the future you will have with me. Give yourself 2 years to relocate back here. This is all related to the fact that you showed no feelings for me for a whole 7 months. In addition, she informed me immediately following the altercation that her love for him had never faded. Personally, I think this proves it. Do you have any opinions? At this very moment, she is creeping back, as many of you have already noted. I'm so sorry for all I've done. I didn't realize what I was doing. I can't imagine life without you. I'm waiting with the kids for your return. Then she started sending me SMS when her family questioned her about it. Additionally, she clarified that she had no intention of informing me of her undying love for him. I don't know. They make it seem like I skipped a step in the divorce process because A. They don't have the love-making footage. B. She won't acknowledge to having an affair with him.
And, see, I have proof.
Since he may have seen her here even if he is in Holland. It is plausible. Update 5. According to many of you, she will begin to crawl back in order to save face with the family in Wien and to get me back, because she needs a lot of help with our 2 tiny sons, and the papers have been served. As it turned out, she did begin communicating with me via Messenger, but not very often. Every single one of the messages was the same. I love you more than anything in the world. I can't imagine my life without you, and we are waiting for you with open arms. There were also pictures of our kids and notes. Yes, I did say that. She has not visited me or phoned me once in the past 5 weeks. On several times, she would drive right by my parents' house, which is where I now live. Messages sent using Messenger are quite rare. Additionally, we exchanged children on a few of occasions, and she never once apologized or even said goodbye. She simply said hello and goodbye. Her relatives began to contact me with far greater regularity. I received 2 calls from her father. A dozen texts from her mother included links to Christian websites that discuss forgiveness. An angry ghost has taken up residence in my wife. Her one sister contacted to apologize and explain the situation. My wife, her other sister said, destroyed our family, and now she doesn't want me to return to her. I was even taken out for a beer by my brother-in-law. Sure, he would prefer it if I returned, but he wasn't attempting to persuade me in any way. We were simply having a casual discussion about what had transpired and what may happen if I didn't. We really can't believe she did that, was the general tone of all these discussions. Please return to her. But, we will understand if you are unable to. But then, the day came when I decided I wanted a divorce and my lawyer informed her lawyer that I had decided I couldn't forgive her in Thai. We are now waiting for her attorney to respond to the conditions of the divorce that my counsel offered. As I patiently await their response, her sister began to accuse me, going so far as to say that I will ruin this marriage. My wife was the one who began it all because she was selfish, she said emphatically. Now she's sorry, she's sobbing, and she wishes she could go back in time. I will ruin the marriage by getting a divorce now that I am the selfish one. Since I have the option to end the divorce and return to my children, the burden is now on me. Returning to my wife would be unnecessary. Returning alone to raise my 2 boys would suffice. According to what she informed me, my anger will simply change with time. I should suck it up and keep moving in with my wife, she said. She made it seem like I was getting even with her by getting a divorce, but I've already told her that it's truly about getting even with our kids. Please explain it to me. It still surprises me, even though I knew from you that things would change and her family would turn on me. For a brief period today, I felt terrible about how my wife treated me for over 6 months, how she chose to emotionally and physically forsake me, and how she wanted to leave me. In short, they have a strong influence on me. The divorce will go through, no matter how difficult it is. It seems like they've settled on a storyline where I'm the villain responsible for the children's abandonment. My plan is to end this fight by proposing my conditions for reconciliation, which she is unlikely to accept. I wouldn't do it for her, but the kids would be my top priority. She uproots her family and relocates to the nation's capital, where I reside, without getting married but instead forming a partnership. We keep our own funds. Keep the GPS on the car until she's too old to drive, and check her phone every day. All of that after I had gone on 7 months of dates with complete strangers. Also, I wouldn't think twice about cheating on her while we were dating, and I certainly wouldn't tell her. I couldn't care less if she finds out. The marriage won't go through anyhow. Do you have any opinions? I don't know what else to do to stop the family from talking about how I left the kids, but this is only a thought. Nothing serious will come of it. For little children like us, it is the law in Poland and Europe that we remain with our mother throughout a divorce. I am unable to consume them. We can't split the costs evenly because she lives in a tiny town an hour away and the kids go to kindergarten and nursery school there. So, I'll be visiting every other weekend and having unlimited access to everything else. Regrettable and distressing, but true. 6th update. 2 months have passed since I confronted her, gave her the divorce papers, and relocated to the capital city, an hour distant from the little village where we lived before. My parents let me stay with them, and I sleep on the couch in their living room. Every chair in the room now serves as a clothing rack, and the dining table has transformed into a hybrid workspace and entertainment center. After an 8-hour workday from the comfort of my own home, I often pitch in to assist my aging parents, who are 88 and 71 years old, with the housework that they still need done. While they're at the doctor, I run errands and transport them. Apart from that, I do anything, like go to the movies or the gym, to distract myself from thinking about what occurred. She leaves my kids off and I pick them up every weekend, so I get to see them often. Weekends are wonderful. I feel really joyful whenever they are in my presence. As far as anyone can tell, the boys are indeed my offspring. The paternity test confirmed it. It is difficult to predict what will happen now that the divorce conditions are a little murky. Given that I am now residing with my parents and, as a father of 2 and an adult, without a permanent residence of my own, I am requesting a substantial sum of money from my wife, in addition to her assumption of the mortgage for our home. She conveyed that I had invested this much into the house's construction, so she consented to the mortgage takeover, but she only provided 1/3 of the amount I wanted. I need a place to live, yet I'm not to blame for getting myself into this mess. I will not be able to purchase an apartment with 1/3 of the sum I desire. As a result, our lawyers are still talking. She wants to hold on to the house, so she's offering me this little sum. But I found out during our previous conversation that she could feel pressured to sell it. She should have been doing this from the start. Otherwise, she would have trouble paying the mortgage and me. Let's watch how things develop. Also, she wants much too much money for things like child support, so that needs to be worked out. Additionally, she asserts that I am obligated to collect the children from the little town and return them before the weekend's conclusion. A lot of time and gas goes into it. I should be the one to drive them back once she drops them off. Clearly, she is the one to blame, yet she's also prepared to fight over the terms of the divorce. Last Sunday, I was asked to her daughter's communion by her sister. Going would allow me to spend more time with my boys, so I went. They didn't even bother to try to have a conversation with me about it because they are all aware that my decision is definite. In the aftermath of the ceremony, I only attended to my sons as the guests enjoyed their food and drinks at the table. But my wife did ask me whether this was the final call. Looking at her, I said it as quietly as I could muster. It has been finalized and cannot be changed. I intend to devote as much time as possible to being with my boys right now. However, she proceeded to express her sincere sorrow and the extent to which she feels guilty about her actions. After breaking up with the AP, she informed me she sought out an exorcist, confided in him about the affair, and then prayed for divine intervention. At that point, it was hilarious, but I persisted nonetheless, telling her that I couldn't care less about her priest and that if anybody should be admitting to anything, it would be me. Under some circumstances, it's acceptable. This is your one opportunity to tell me the truth, and I am here now to listen. May I inquire as to the frequency of your sex with him? Her response was negative. After that, I said, remember that party in November when you and your coworkers were all together? Airbnb. Why not just stay at a friend's place instead of renting a whole apartment for the night? She felt a complete loss of emotion at hearing it and was at a loss for words, asking why she should subject herself to this constant misery. 2 months after I left, I told her that if she was really sorry, she wouldn't keep lying. I informed her that in my opinion, having it with him over video chat is no different from having it with anybody else, and that was only one example. How many times had she done it with the AP? SH couldn't even begin to guess. Following this, I asked her, how do you picture us reconciling? You bring up a subject with me and then immediately start lying. Are you aware that I would be constantly monitoring your phone? Have you any thoughts about that? That wouldn't be trusting. It would be treating me like trash, she said. Just as the discussion was about to come to a close, our kid cut in. Remember, you cheated not only on me, but also on our 2 adorable young sons. That was my last point. That was the only time I ever told her anything like that in front of our kids, and it broke her. She started screaming about it. Funny thing is, Her sister has informed me that my wife is going through a lot of pain and sobbing every day because of this. Despite her tears in front of the family, she continues to lie to me. What a hypocrite. She went so far as to say that her family would be unable to stop her from being with the AP if she so desired. The fact that she is free to abandon her relationship with him is something for which I should be grateful. Seriously, however. I suppose I'm simply updating you and whining now. Your encouragement is much appreciated. I shall persevere and resolve this problem in due time. My oldest son has been acting anxious recently, and I fear this is only the beginning of his struggles. I will always be by his side. I believe my boys will benefit from seeing a psychologist. The divorce will be finalized soon, since our attorneys have finally reached an agreement. Update 7. The incomplete house and mortgage are now solely hers. I would like not to have someone later accuse me of selling the house in retaliation for her and Ty, especially because the house is meant for the kids. Also, I'd rather not call her Little Village, which is an hour distant from the nation's capital, my home. Nevertheless, I am consuming exactly what I put into it, and that quantity is quite satisfactory. Equally good is the quantity of child support. In addition, we have made arrangements for her to drop off the kids to my apartment in the capital city every other weekend. I'll just need to return the vehicle. Seeing my kids on the weekends is still not enough. In fact, it's causing me so much anguish that I find it difficult to cope at times. I just can't stand the thought of a lady who is unable to control her behavior causing a fatherless home for 1- and 3-year-old boys. The legislation in Poland makes it impossible for me to own them, no matter how much I would like to. To stay afloat, I'll have to start making the drive there sometime throughout the week. On the other hand, she never stops telling me how much she loves me, how much she wishes she could change the past, and how much pain she is in every day as a result of her actions. When she confided in me that she no longer saw checking her phone as a form of disrespect, she softened considerably and even encouraged me to do it frequently. She informed me that we may leave the little town and go to the metropolis. In exchange for my taking her back, she promised to tell me the truth about the affair. She went to see my parents and expressed her regret. It is quite probable that someone informed her about a change in circumstances. Now that she's displaying signs of regret, she's ready to do anything. I appreciate you not selling the property and that we were able to finish things gently, she said in her last message to me. When you accept the conditions of the divorce, you are also agreeing to it. Let me assure you, it will not be true, but I will have to consent to it in court. You have my undying love, and I refuse to have a divorce. I know you don't believe it, and I get that. Nevertheless, I wish I could find an opportunity to show you how much I love you someday. I apologize for everything and I love you very much. How much I regret all of this beyond description. That kind of thing influences me and hinders my recovery. If I said her remarks have no impact on me, I'd be lying. Instead of raising my boys in a rural village, I sometimes fantasize of taking them to the capital city. She did what she needed to do, even though I think she had a hard time being alone with 2 little boys. All of it was destroyed when she cheated. I was hoping things would improve as time went on, but the wound is healing at a snail's pace. I am committed to finishing what I started. I will provide an update at some point, perhaps when I find true happiness. Do you have any opinions? How serious do you believe my wife's feelings of guilt are? Not immediately, but when I return, she has promised to tell me all about her adultery. Without offering to check her phone immediately, she waited. Leaving the little community for the big metropolis wasn't something she offered to do immediately. She couldn't display any regret till 3 months had elapsed. Instead of contacting or stopping by, she uses Messenger to express her regrets. Her sister said I intend to use the divorce to enrich myself and leave a lady with 2 young sons, and her mother called me a narcissist. Now her entire family is on her side. She invited me to spend the night yesterday after my short visit with my kids, but I politely declined. Any advice would be helpful. Update 8. After nearly 6 months, here is my perspective on D-Day, which was April 7th. Every day, you have to answer the same questions about these complicated circumstances. Do I still feel love for her? That's the question I have. Is it okay if I return to her just for the children? Would I like to return to her little village and see the house through to completion? Knowing what she did, will I be able to live with myself in 5 to 10 years? At this time, I can say without equivocation that the answer to every single question is no. It's done. Sure, I adore my kids and wish I could spend every day with them. But alas, it is just not possible. Despite her desire for my return, I am unable to love her. Although I wish I could, I am unable to reunite with that family. Everything is bothering me, and I wish I could just ignore it all. There was a period when I offered her a second opportunity by suggesting that she and her children move to my city. Even though I asked her if she agreed, she insisted on keeping the house because she wants our children to have a future and because she has support from her relatives in the little town. She did nothing except remain silent when I corrected her that a family is not some meaningless structure but rather a mother, father, and children. At that moment, it hit me. We are no longer a thing. Everyone is on the same page, and there's no room for compromise. He saw her walking down the street and gave her a call, so I told him I wouldn't be staying in the tiny town where our affair began. The house I'm building is a full mile from her AP's family residence, and I'm determined not to finish it. He resides overseas but pays trips to relatives 2 or 3 times a year, so I will never have to fear that daughter could meet him. Afterwards, the discussion came to a close. She despises the major city, and I despise the little town. It's done. To give you an idea of her style, we settled on the following. I'll keep the home and the money I invested, and she'll keep the building for the kids. Now she's even more irritated about it since the agreement specifies that she can't sell the property until the kids reach the age of 18, which is considered adulthood in Poland. In any other case, we'll have to divide the proceeds from the sale of the house 50-50. Since she intends to use her own funds to complete the house and I would receive half of the substantially more expensive finished house if she were to sell it, she thinks this is unfair. I questioned her motives for considering selling it, and she said she had no idea what the future holds. She isn't trustworthy. My current leaning is to simply sell the building. The only problem is that I just can't bring myself to sell the house that my kids were supposed to grow up in. 9. I would appreciate it if you could respond to my query. She sent it to me today. If I tried to ask you in person, we'd probably end up yelling at each other, so I'm asking you here instead. You've already given me my name, my past, and my actions, and now you refuse to discuss any of it. After all we've spoken about, are you ready to forgive me, put the past in the past, and start over with our family? Or are you fully aware that you can never forgive me and that we will never be able to be together again? Give it some thought and then tell me whether you're interested in getting back together with my husband. What is its significance? I don't think she has the authority to ask me to be that detailed at this point. I have my suspicions that there is someone else involved, and she seems eager to set the record straight with me. We can talk soon. I told you I'm valuable beyond a casual chat. She was spoke with by me. Moving to the nation's capital and severing all links with AP and his family are the only 2 things I've ever said as requirements for this marriage to continue. She has no trouble seeing the second one, but the first one seems insurmountable. Despite her remorse, she is unwilling to go to Warsaw due to the exorbitant cost of living and the fact that we will never be able to afford a very large house there. She claims our children live it up in the little town, and the fact that she just has to pay rent on her present apartment since it's her dad's building makes her feel good. Rent, utilities, and the cost of a smaller apartment in Warsaw would be 4 to 5 times as much. Plus, she has enough of relatives and friends to drop the kids off with after work. Yes, it is correct. I can tell the kids are having fun, and it's perfect for her schedule. She said that moving would make no one happy except me. My pride would be satisfied. She's absolutely correct, and it's making things difficult. We barely cover the cost of her sister's kindergarten in the tiny town. She just placed me in a predicament that I will never be able to escape. I refuse to budge from my position that we will not be residing in the tiny town, and I can also see that it would be foolish for them too. I will continue transporting the kids to Warsaw every other weekend as planned, and I will visit as frequently as possible to spend time with them. According to her, She plans to be unmarried for the foreseeable future and has assured me that no one else will be interested in her but me. Maybe it's for the best that the kids will have me and no one else to look up to as a father figure. I just can't believe it and don't care. Several things she mentioned throughout our talk demonstrated that she does not feel sorry for herself. She stated she didn't have time to talk since she had 2 children and couldn't keep up with their schedules, so I inquired why she hadn't phoned me once throughout our separation. All I got were messages. She assured me that she has finished talking about the incident and will not provide any further details, even if I ask. I informed her family about certain things she didn't want me to discuss with them, so now she won't tell me anything else. She informed me that the AP had been contacting her for a long time, but she had repeatedly turned him down. Finally, last year, she said that my passivity had prompted her to have an affair with him. She merely rolled her eyes and remarked, "You're thinking only about yourself. You're the only poor guy in this." In response to my statement that what she said is absolutely repulsive, she continued. Update 10. I figured out how to get by on my own, spend less time with my kids, and am finally ready to date again. In reality, I've taken to utilizing dating apps for a while now. I usually receive a good number of matches, and meeting attractive women is usually no problem. My schedule is completely booked every other weekend due to my children. Therefore I had to cancel 2 or 3 short-term relationships since they couldn't meet me when they wanted to. To be honest, I would have preferred if they were longer. I used to make up excuses like I had a meeting or whatever, and they took it as a sign of disinterest on my part. How am I supposed to find my way through this maze? I am not yet ready to tell a new girl that I am nearly divorced and have 2 children. The only way for the second or third date to happen, according to my research, is this. Is this something that can be fixed? Would a female be more likely to stick around if I were honest from the start? Is anybody else on a comparable journey? Although I am not in the mood for a committed relationship right now, I would love to have one in the future.